Wicked. Okay, so Jake Hall is our
Hello everyone.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Good.
That's a good answer. Right, so first of all, I run a night called Boomerang Club. It is a poetry night. It does come back every month. We can have a laugh. I run it with Joel Waterson. The next one is next Wednesday. It's every second Wednesday of the month. If you're at Spoken Word London, I understand, because it's also a brilliant night. I'm going to do a really short piece and then a slightly longer piece to break through my nerves. But yeah, add me on Facebook. I'm Jake Wildhall if you want to hear about my event and other poetry stuff and see pictures of my son, because that's always fun. Right, so this first piece is a piece I wrote in response to Papoose, alphabetical slaughter. I say in response, it's basically just being a poet in alphabetical order. So it goes, and sorry if I slip up, I've had quite a lot to drink. I don't know why that was a sensible idea, coming to say words, like I'm obviously going to slur myself. Right, so it goes like this. Alteration and alliteration, bemused by calculation, calculating diction, defying deliberate, excellent elocution, exasperating fact from fiction. Finding gains, gaining, grating, hallucination, hiding independent isolation, ideally joking, jokingly, joyously, killing kings, kindly, lusciously, luring, lovingly, loving love. Matching murder, marriage, mesmerizingly, never, not never, oxygen, operated, orally pleasant patience, cueing, quizzingly, questioning, rationality, rationing, stimulation, stimulating thought thoroughly, tending to universal understanding, utter visual vanity, verifying world wars with wilting Jonans, x-ray yawns, and yield zealousy. So, I know I looked like I shouldn't have grown up on a council estate, but I did, I promise. I grew up on White City Estate, which is in White City, which is in Shepherd's Bush, which is in the borough of Hammersmith and Fulham, so you're getting a general idea. And yeah, this is about growing up there. It's called An Ode to My Playground. Where I grew up, the only things that ever blew up were bombs, removing hands from cuffs and also leaving eyesight fucked. Let me take this story and expand it. Army barracks, that's where the package landed. One man looked and then handled it. He was left with memories where his hands were and only his mind's eye to view them. And I was 10 then. We hear alarm begin. We automatically start to grin, not knowing what lies deep within. They say they planted a bomb to kill the kids. I hear this and my ears begin to twitch. In the end it was a false alarm. We all go back to calm and no one came to harm. But I was 10 then. But let's play with time and hit rewind, because by 6, knowing death's box was ticked, I leave the house for dinner's sake. My mum complains at the whinge I make. Arguments begin to break. Evil thoughts start to wake. A date with the devil did someone make? I feel I need a cape to fly away. A year has passed and that seems like just yesterday. And I'm seeing the lifeless image of my father's face. We play football just to waste away the days. Or is the chemistry our remedy for the tragedy we plenty see? Because we were angels then, back between the age of 6 and 10. But we aged, and many of us changed. Some got a taste for rage, and some put the pen down on a new page. But we saw blades piercing skin, and new dealers of crack and heroin. We lost a sense of sentiments, and some got addicted to amphetamines. But every year we grew thicker skin. We waited for the daylight to chase away the night sky, because we knew too many who lost the breath of life. But that's why so many are empty inside. I wouldn't know how to cry even if their mother died. But everywhere you go there's a rich and a poor side. It's like one side is poverty, the other £1 million properties, and we wonder why there's muggings, stabbings and killings, with this social inequality mixed down with advertising telling us we need these things like Nikes and true religion jeans. A world full of broken dreams, not dreams that were never achieved, but one set in vanity, like making boobs bigger than your already double D's. Please stop jumping through hoops. Don't act like the trigger's been pulled before they shoot. That's how you lose the pavement lines that keep you sane in mind. Follow the same path each time. Follow the path of broken dreams and tell you where it seems they sew the seams together with agony. Stop. Reverse the image until you can see that pause are in it. Pause a minute. Can you break the laws of physics? No. Can you retract the clause from the pause you just saw in the mirror image? It's all perspective, no objective, no incentive to buy into this metropolis, but we did it. Now no chance of stopping this. From the poison in our food and our water to letting our sons and our daughters be taught to get their personalities from magazines with the glossiest images in them. to trust in politicians who raised stone walls around my estates, took the disadvantaged and placed them in them, gave them hope but no chance of escaping them, then brought in drugs to create the system, then created terrorism. Don't believe, take a second, breathe and listen. These are the descendants of the people who created racism, took their hatred of nations and used it to taint them. Now no longer difference fuels the fire beneath their iris, now the lesser tie these titans. And as long as your rubber band around your upper arm, some sort of self-inflicted harm, young man with a knife out in the night, crack rocks in your pipe, then that's fine in their eyes. But don't think you can give them the slip by making it big. They'll make you sign on that dotted line quick, force your finger on the trigger and wait for the click. But those left, those who escape the fine mesh of the net, find time for the form of art that's at the bottom of your heart. Use your words of wisdom. Use your cynicism. Tell them the future you envision, because free minds in these dark times, that's my vision. One. Thank you.
Some of you have seen me before, like 2 or 3, so all my old shit will be new shit. So let me start with another.
Now trust is a funny thing. It takes years to build up and then you're in, but then all it takes, split second of a mistake to undo your hard work and seal your fate. Now devious people, they use trust as a mask to hide who they are, like they're sitting in the dark. She is being blinded by that metaphorical light placing her naive trust in someone she thought was tied. This beautiful innocent, ruined by trust for that devious person. His hidden motive was lust, and this deviant stood like a pro, he's done it before. Turned starry-eyed beauties into drug-addicted whores. I know the words I choose are strong, but am I the only brother that thinks this is wrong? When I see one prey on a naive mind, I burn to stop it and turn back the hands of time. See, all I want to do is break that unforgiving cycle, beat that man with my belt and hold his head above mine like a title. Cool. Tell me what's next. If we already have nothing, then we lose our respect. Making someone feel like they belong on a shelf, but you forget how we treat others is only a reflection of ourselves. Make someone feel worthless. All it does is show your self-worth, but we were all once children who were priceless at birth. So why do we lose value of ourselves the more time passes? Is it through negative comments or is it through ignorant bastards? And how are we supposed to progress when all we see is violence and sex? Imprinting on over soft minds rather sniff them right lines. Fulfilling out fantasies of what they see on the mainstream. Mind filled with sick daydreams, thoughts being more than mean. And if you can't hear it in my words and my tone of voice, all I'm saying is never take an innocent person's choice. These men tainted by our sick culture, hovering above the unsuspecting like ravenous vultures, rather behave like cavemen than progress our own cultures. Now I find it downright sickening, but it's sad and it's true that trust is the most destructive weapon known to man, as well as glue.
This one I wrote a few days ago, so like, don't heckle me if I fuck up.
I hear his voice, but his face I never see. I know he has saved a space for me, a special place for me. He waits for me. It's plain to see that perpetual time is coming to a perplexing end. Our surrounding doom impending as our soul transcends. I'm reaching, but I overextend. Slips from my grasp into the lions, then I leave 5 behind me like 2010. The simplistic reference is the souls of my friends continually agitated. I've got my eyes on time like I'm watching Big Ben, but Big Brother is more likely. Our face on their camera, highly. 71 times a day, don't take picking your nose lightly, they might see. Be brave, even a mouse is mighty. These days we show our disdain by no likey, no lighty. If you disagree, fight me. I'm down for a war of words. Let's get out the House of Commons and polish those turds. Go American History X and introduce their jaw to a curb. Am I angry? Word. It's the only thing that's mine anymore. Even my bedroom gets taxed. I might as well sleep on the floor. They got a tax on our food and a tax on our clothes. We are not even free when we're dead. They got a tax on the box for our bones, but democracy? What democracy? You mean this government? I call it hypocrisy. We are living in a socio-economic elitist society. They would rather they would have everyone without a double-barreled turning to sink away quietly. But we are a sinking ship and they are behind a strategically placed leak, but most of us are too worried about our Saturday night and getting hold of some Class A leak, or worse now, some Class A brown. One hit can turn the smartest of minds into a Class A clown, but shit. Class A clown. I fucked up with that one. Let me do a new one. Yeah, like I said, that was written a couple of days ago, like, it just completely got it. Let me think, right. This one was like one of the first written, so it's really simple, but hopefully you guys enjoy it. Now, is it a crime to want to talk about politics over a rhyme? And is it a crime worthy enough to make the government believe that I've got a new time? If so, then it's a crime for me to use my freedom of speech to want to right the wrongs in this world and teach. Now, is it a crime for a man to steal a loaf of bread? For his family of 5 that for 2 weeks haven't been fed, the only driving force behind this so-called crime being love for this man on no wage, his wife and kids who are living more than tough. Now, if you believe this is a crime, then I'm wasting my time. See, I want to open boxes, but boxes can never be opened without a conscious mind. And I know on crime, everybody has their own stance and position. But if you were in his shoes, would you not steal from a kitchen? I'm not saying all crimes are for the greater good, but I'm at a loss. What else can it be? When we steal, it's a crime. But when the government steals, it's for us to be free. I know there's a lot of Harvey Denters within the government backbenchers, but we can't blame them for everything. We idolize gangsters instead of sitting in business lectures. We are a generation of new thinkers, but at the moment we're at a standstill, putting on the blinkers. Sit back, relax, wait for the breakdown recovery, rather than get out and walk the road of discovery. Shit, man. I don't fuck up this much. It's been like a year since I performed, by the way, so yeah, 7 months.
Nice love.
Some say ignorance is bliss, but my eyes are white, so fuck that shit. We choose to be ignorant of the worst of times, like with the occurrence of mass murders and genocides. Hollow humans when it comes to those of other nations, but don't complain when the government piss on you and tell you it's raining. I mean, why can't we stand as one, the human race, and come together to expose those inhumane and corrupt within our own place now? We would rather have wars about whose God is greatest. While those corrupt politicians sit back Camden, I'll cash with grins on their faces. I mean, for me, respect and fear are two different things, but when I look at this world, a few words in my head ring. The people should never be afraid of its government. The government should be scared of its people. All I want to know is, when did the human mind become so feeble? When hardships arise, we ignore it. Yeah, we groan, we deplore it. But if our freedom was taken away today, would we really fight for it? We are surrounded by classes in its entirety. We are not judged by who we are, but rather who we are in society. We are being ruled by a socio-economic government who will put 300 million into a nuclear warhead program rather than funding for homeless youngins. I'm just saying. I think the government have got their priorities confused. They'd rather spend 100 grand on expensive booze than to ever see our streets peaceful, racial tensions diffused. And they would hate for us to come together as one, because a divided country equals easier to run. And if we did come together, we could outnumber them greatly, but by the time we realize it will be too late. See, people, we don't see what's approaching. Times of dictatorship, no democratic voting, and now is the time to stand together as one, because if we did, we'll be divided by none. So this is a fuck you to the government trying to steal my shine, and a message to the people to make them realize now is our time.
Wow, another round of applause for those were great. I can't remember stuff I write, so I'm reading it. Tale of Two Cities. London. Police killed Henry Hicks. Lancaster. TV is mind control. Who is Henry Hicks? Does it matter? How did the police kill him? Does that matter? What kind of man was Henry? Does it matter? Who wrote that graffiti? How is TV mind control? Should it matter? Whose mind is it controlling? Should I care? Had my mind been controlled? Should I matter? The person who did the graffiti, was their mind being controlled? London, Lancaster, Lancaster, London. Did TV make police kill Henry Hicks? Or did TV make someone think they had? I suppose I better keep taking these stills, even though the people that invented them were probably only winging it. What is TV? What is mind control? Should it matter? Does it matter? Freedom is slavery of choice. Choice is slavery of freedom. Am I winging it? I'm definitely winging it. Does it matter? Should it matter? A policeman in London just told me to put my tablet away because it made me a target, especially with me being on the corner. Does that policeman watch TV? Is he being mind controlled? Should it matter? Does it matter? Did he kill Henry Hicks? Is it still murder if you're being mind controlled? Diminished responsibility, manslaughter, got 7 years, served 3. Good behaviour, whoever that is. Playing by the same rules as the rich warmongers who groom children, incite hatred as long as people are killing each other, their backs are turned. Tony Blair, David Cameron, Prince Andrew wash their hands in our blood. So there's a couple of little Twitter poems, so blink and you miss them because they're like super quick, but I need to practice them. So, she sits, drinks cheap lattes, is contained, attentive. I swim within her eyes, radiant, captivating, and utterly dangerous to my heart. Putting letters on a page is not the same as writing. You drink wine like I collect souls with appetite. One day I will write. And this something a bit more light-hearted because, well, you can only get so deep for so long and then it starts to hurt. So this is called and this is called Biscuits. When around the biscuit tin, the most serious of questions can be seen on human lips. Which one? Another one? Which other one? These may seem trivial because biscuits seem simple. Think again differently. Me, I've been going steady with packets of bourbons, but I still like shortbread. Now imagining committing your whole life to just only eating one kind of biscuit. And you arrive at the shops, you can only look. Back at home, bourbon again. If you start nibbling around, they might find the crumbs, so you try not to stare. Sooner or later, you're gonna crumble and then caught with an empty packet by the bed. The shame, such guilt. You apologise, it was only the once. The bourbon looks away. Soon, the biscuit tin is bare, just one long forgotten love asking if you still care. You've been happy with your shortbread, fun, sweet and oh so buttery on your lips, still you think of that lonely, lovely bourbon. It may be stale, bitter and abandoned, but it was your bourbon, and it was your favourite. Remember when biscuits were easy. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I also have this poem that, I've been memorized like for months and weeks and trying to fucking it as possible. So this one's called Find the Greatness. And yeah, sometimes it's hard to find the greatness, so I thought I'd speak, so, what the heck. Anyway, it goes like this. Go ahead. Find your greatness wherever it may be living. In the Chelsea mug, inside your girlfriend's sports bra, under someone's weave, it unites, look over your shoulder, inside the toilet. Wherever it may be, seek, discover, conquer. Check under your mattress, inside the bookshelves, or in your dad's armpits. Come on, find your greatness before it's too late. Find your smarts on another planet, wherever it orbits, wherever it flies. Be glad to reach the galaxies on starships, going to science fictional chambers. Star Wars. Find the glow sparkle in the genius within your circumference. Into the sunlight, it warms your cold heart on fire. Your only desire ignites a flaming torch to carry on the running spirit. Athletics, beware of the prodigal son. Beware, he's right there, behind you. Sneaking into tight spots where you see fit. The world's the stage, the world's the stage, the world's the stage, right? Did you miss that mic on that stage? Kissing the assembly floor near the fire exits. Staring back at you in the face. He wanted you to embrace what you have, but you turned away from greatness, ran away in disguise like a coward to regroup with the skeptical crowd who had no faith in you whatsoever from Genesis. It was asking for your assistance to reach out to champion you, the spontaneous thing in you, the incredible thing you have premeditated at the corner, isolated where no one can find you or even converse with you. Find yourself unique in this parts of the universe. Lift off the average soul, press away down your everyday struggles. On the rooftops you lay to rest. You're sitting in closed eyelids. Only Lucasade can boost up your energy to, duh, wake up, you're daydreaming again. In underground stations, services seem to fill up each character's full capacity. There is no more room to squeeze in dreams through marginalized clones, unaware of your full potential, crossing brick lane like Dave Crowd. You search for greatness under a tree, where you sat with sketchbooks, outlining the colorless landscapes, a far distance in King George's Park. Notice the way your observation contrasts imagery through binoculars. You can see it coming closer than you think. Your journal has stories pent up with the city gems, looting through branches, coming onto Southall's Princess Way. You search in car parks, concealed in Vauxhall Astras, BMWs, Mini Coopers. Everything seems so life-driven. Your greatness lived in depths of mountains, over the horizons. When you rock climb to the top, your foundations to success begins. So love the things you enjoy, the filmmakers of your written history, your poetry of innocence. Let your legacy take you to the distance. Enjoy the exciting rainbows, take you places no money can take you. Find your greatness no matter where it may be stuck on. It's stuck on who? It's stuck on you? No! It's stuck on stupid! Find it before it finds somebody else around the corner with nothing to live for, and allow it to slip into their hands. It might find you on Britain's Got Talent. Get you a rep on the streets that respect is good, right? So I ignore it. Opportunities comes once in a lifetime, so I leave it to chance. You said you wanted to be a rapper, so go ahead and rhyme. You wanted to be an artist and make paintings dance 1,000,000 times at the Whitechapel Gallery. So carry on your Picasso, exhibiting your art. You are the timeless microphone speaking to be heard. So why should anybody cut your sound off? It sets beautiful trends as the greatest thing alive, over Reeboks running your social commentary. Just do it the nice insisted your soles of your feet. Just do what comes to you naturally. Run fast before the lightning strikes the oak tree. Become the self-incredible, self-militant, self-reliant, self-made you. So go ahead and find yourself, know yourself, claim yourself, love yourself. Be yourself. Thank you.
Oh, I say, this is good, isn't it? Did I just say I say? Paul Bridge, man, he's trying to make this a really cool event and I fucking rock up. Oh well.
It's the dangers of open mics.
Yeah.
I'll get through the shit and then we can all just move on with our life.
These people want to go get more drinks.
No, I know, right? Ditto, I mean, I'm barely floating here. This is a poem about the moon. Well, I mean, I say it's about the moon, it's not really about the moon, it's what we in the business call a metaphor. But, so it's about the moon, but it's not really about, it's complicated, okay? It's called Fair Selene. I like it when you can see the moon during the day, when fair Selena comes to say hello. Even though she knows most people will be distracted by the light show her fiery brother has enacted, she comes anyway. She comes to see what you look like when you're not sleeping. She comes in keeping with her duty of care to those of us who know she's always there and ever shining. Subtly smiling, sat aloft on a seat of azure cloth, she adds her light to our days. She's made more soft by blinding rays, but we who spot her on a crowded day marvel at her beauty in 100,000 little ways. Little ways count, whether there's just a few or where they stack to a staggering amount. Each way may weigh only an ounce, but that can be enough to tip the scales towards contentment and away from fear and doubt. She does not need to shout to be heard, because we who have learnt her worth turn our brains to sponges and absorb her every word. And this shouldn't come as a surprise, because her standing in our eyes has been hard earned. Every time we sat huddled in our own private ebon night, she turned her sights on this scene, which is played over and again in our minds. She set the record right. With kind determination, she forces into our hands the keys of our own emancipation. Her pale and steady light drains from the world all the lying colours that we have daubed upon it. When the world is drained of false hue, we see internally what fair Selena already eternally knew. If we have sinned, it is only in acting without the love we owe ourselves. So, I like it when you can see the moon during the daytime. It reminds me that always there is light. Yeah, I do remember this one. How's it called? We'll call it On Humanity. Right, so sometimes I feel numb, which shouldn't make sense because numbness is an absence of feeling, except this time the numbness has got so bad that it starts to burn. Does anyone else get that? Maybe? No? Do you ever, like, really fucking want to put your fist through a table?
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't, not because you're not able, but in case some shocked person cries out, "That's mahogany." The agony of your personal odyssey isn't anything new. Don't you forget, you're not the first to get the hull of your trireme wet. 1,000 generations or more since ancient times have left their native shores and set sail for distant climes. 1,000 generations from a myriad of nations have braved these seas before you learnt how to breathe. Despite the odds set against them, your ancestors squared their shoulders, set their feet and met them. They sailed through the crashing boulders and crossed the raucous seas. They reached the Caucasus and retrieved the Golden Fleece. You are the successful result of billions of years of evolution. And with every revolution of the Wheel of Fate, your ancestors grit their teeth and set a faster pace. No other species has sent one of their own in time to space. Only 1% of our DNA separates us from chimpanzees, and we have fucking crosswords and blackberry jams and artistic jamborees, right? Whereas, I mean, nice as they are, they're naked and live in trees. The ease with which we put ourselves down has always struck me as strange, since the bricks of our molecular arrangements were forged in stars. You are the dust of stars, so you really must start trying to get some perspective, man. Do some good, just write some ringing invective, just make sure the world's a better place by the time you leave, because, sir and madam, I believe we are not the fallen descendants of Adam and of Eve. No, we are risen apes, and if that thought ever escapes you and you begin to hate your life or regret it or forget all else save this: you're human. Humans are great, so I'm sure you'll get through it. Is that my time or? This one might more correctly fall into the category of self-indulgent, masturbatory, navel-gazing nonsense. Because it is in fact a poem about poetry. It's called, fittingly enough, I think you'll find, Poetry. A poem. A poem, said the dead and ancient Greek whom I'd read into life once more, is a made thing, an act of creation, life with ink in its veins. I do not wish to bleed, but if the world and my all too human brain do conspire against me, then I will let it scab upon the page. I will trap it where it can be safely observed. I will steal laughter and tears from my audience, and into the silence that's left behind, I will shout my thoughts. I will scream into existence the nocturnal maelstroms whose cacophony trap me in unwilling consciousness. I will pray with every fibre of my shattered, grubby little soul that this time, please, oh capricious, spiteful deities, this one time, something echoes back at me which I understand. And then I will have a pint. You know, take the edge off. Calm myself down, sort of thing. Because, I mean, it's bad enough that I write this shit and make myself recite it to anyone who will listen, but it really wouldn't do to pretend that poetry is magic. And a double gin as well, I think. With lime and soda if you've got it, or maybe even bitter lemon. Because, I mean, I do genuinely love those moments where two minds separated by space or time or the breadth of the darkness between two sets of eyes meet across a crowded line of verse. It reminds me that I'm not alone, nor are you. And a bag of pork scratchings as well. You know, it does you good to treat yourself. It makes me feel alive.
So we're going to do 4 main performances now, and I'm starting them, so sorry. Cool. So the first one I'm going to do is one called Take Black, and that starts off by going, instantly forgotten how this program goes. Okay, yeah, so because nobody can tell what's written on the wind, and because nobody can tell just how quickly things can end, it turns out I'm not the kind of person that believes in fate or destiny, just kind of roll with the day to day and see what life throws at me. And then one day I'm at my desk, and as like usually you walk past. You give me a smile, I give you a joke, you give me a sympathetic laugh. But I keep close to my heart where low confidence is rife. Instantly you're my Khaleesi, you be the moon of my life. Now, that last rhyme was lazy, and I'm sorry it was obvious. But I feel that those words were the best words to try and get my point across. You see, she'll send me an email from across the room. Hey darling, how was your evening? What did you get up to? And it makes my day just to think she's thought of me before logging on, or signing in, or making a coffee. So I reply and try and be funny, try and be awesome, try and play it cool, but every word that I write just sounds like, oh, well, fancy you. Which would be cool if I didn't, but I do, so it's not. I'm so fucking obvious, I'm like Shutter Island's plot, and I'm so transparent that you can call me Griffin. It's pretty fucking obvious, I guess, is what I'm saying. But now, every now and then, I like to fool myself again. That the smile that you could send was meant for more than just a friend, and I'd like to just pretend that now it's the weekend, so I'll see you again on Monday. Because this place in my heart and the shape of which you size, I can't say I saw it at the start, but I equally can't say I'm surprised that I now see you this way, and I hope you understand that at night and throughout the day I kind of just want to hold your hands. And I know that it's unlikely that you like me too. I'm a bit of a nerd, but opposites do. Attract is a factor and all of that, so I stare at my feet and retract. And now it's Monday again. I get that stupid grin. I get to see your face again, and that's for the win. Because the weekend has been such a drawn-out thing. Getting baked with my friends, will this Monday never end? You see, I like your face, and I think you're really pretty. You stimulate my mind, and you make me a little giddy, and you make me a little happy, and you make me out to fall. and you make me want to slap me for acting like said fool for the things that I do when I'm around you. Let me give you an example. If you were Princess Toadstool and you were captured by Bowser, I'd come running and I'd say, over Marshall Hills, underwater levels, and deepest, darkest caves. Fighting Cooper Troopers, Boos and Goobers won't stop until the end. Jumping straight from World Time 3 and 8 to Walk Whistle is my friend. So, I'm at the final level, and your face is in my sight. But before the heroic kiss comes the main boss fight. Now, the main boss is easier than real life can be. Just jump on his head 3 times and you're on to victory. But real life is harder, and I wish that I knew all the things to do to try and impress you, and it's hard to talk to you without a CPU. So I'll see you again on Monday. Because this place in my heart and the shape of issue size, I can't say I saw it at the start, but I equally can't say I'm surprised that I now see you this way, and I hope you understand that night throughout the day I just want to hold your hands, and I know that it's unlikely that you like me too. I'm a bit of a nerd, but opposites do. Attracted's a factor in all of that, so I stare at my feet and retract. Back to the fact that I'm a nerd and that's that, with a Johnny Cupcakes hat and an antisocial cat spurting ice and fire facts, wishing that I was the bat. So to an nerd cave I go back. Thank you. This one is one about my dad, so this is the happy portion of the section. So, hello Dad, this for your son. Although you've gone before my life had begun, you still have a profound effect on how I have grown, so I'm writing you this poem so that it is known that all the things I have done not to become. The man that I despise, the man who has my eyes, the man who left when my mum's life was a mess when she didn't know what to do. Why the fuck we knew? And as the years went by, and then you see me cheating try, but you were too busy to care about my life, too busy with your brand new family that came just after me. So if that's who you want to be, then fuck you. Because I'm a stronger person without you around. And my life is greener than your side of the ground. I've been brought up to respect women, and that's something you couldn't teach. And why the fuck would I listen to anything that you decided to preach? Why would I listen to the lessons of a man who ditches responsibilities for a slightly better family? See, I don't fuck around, and I do not drink. So unlike you, I have the fucking ability to think about the way that I present myself, and about the way that others do see me, and about the consequences of standard fucking flea, but I still sit and wonder, and not for very long. Hardly in great depth, and I'm pretty sure that I'm wrong. So maybe one day when I come and see you, who knows if I'll have the strength. This poem is to that motherfucker who put my life on the bench. Cheers. So I wrote this one actually in a horrible, horrible club that I was taken to with people from work, which I'm sure you've all had to experience. Yeah, I actually wrote most of this in the toilets of the club to actually avoid spending more time in the club. Cool. So on my lonesome again, just looking for a friend. Just looking for someone to help me protect and defend these ideas that I have about how we should be. These aren't rules for you, but guidelines for me. To be a better someone. A better someone, not a no one. And to discover how I big up my passion to be awesome and lift my head up above the crowd and scream to all of you heroes. I'm a nerd and I'm proud. You see, I don't drink. I like to stay home and just read. Pick up a 360 pad and I'm hoarding Nordish mead, or I'm chasing down a Joker with a cow and a cake. This shit is childish to you, but it's how I escape. So then I go out and I try to entertain that I'm not all that different, that I'm kind of the same as all the users and abusers and the whores and the losers of all the many others that society puts above us. And I want to scream as I don't fit in. When something cool happens and I'm like, Max for the win, and they look at me like, what the frail are you saying? That's right, I said frail, fuck the Scourins, Sebastian's represented, and I saw you. And I saw you saw me too. And I know that you type that you're drunk and I'll do, but I won't. And this ain't how I want to be, and this ain't how I want to meet you. Now the next bit starts in 3, 2, 1. So I sit in my bed and I write this little tune. It was an SOS and a poem looking for you. Don't get me wrong, I would like to get to know you, but you like me a bit of a dick, so I pursue. That's why I sit in my bed and I write this little tune. It was an SOS and a poem looking for you. Don't get me wrong, I would like to get to know you, but you like me a bit of a douche. So now I'm balls deep in the shallow conversation, and this is the point where I start to get the impression that anything I say will be met with positive reaction, with the hope that it will result in filthy bedroom action. So I get my nerd on, and I see how far I can take it, and I see how far in this geek how she can fake it. It being that interested in certain specific things like, did you know Dick Grayson eventually becomes Nightwing?
Did you know Ben Jacob Grimper comes to sing? I'd ask you if you'd watched that VHS from The Ring. And despite his losing Winterfell, Rob Stark was still a king. And she just sits with that distant stare, head nods in a grin, but I can tell that she don't care about all of these things that mean everything to me. Sweetheart, I'm not exactly the guy you thought me to be. I'm not the kind of guy that gets off and cheap fucking. And I'm not the kind of guy that's into promiscuous sex. And as soon as I say this word, she gets to step in and I wonder who she will aim for next, so I sit back and I drink my hat of Snapple. And I make sure the seven gods know that I'm thankful that I got out of here without an STD, but more importantly, without you. Cheers. Thank you. Right, so I'm going to do one which is kind of based on an argument I had with a girl who I worked with who's massively, massively religious. I'm not anti-religion, I'm anti-people being dicks with religion, so believe in what you want to believe in, just don't be a massive, massive bellend with it. So it's about the age of 20 when I was pondering the Holy Trinity, and it all seemed a little ridiculous to me, the thought of one holy entity. And as the years went along, this girl came along from across the pond with a belief system that was all kinds of wrong. She said, you know what? For an atheist, you're not what I expect. I said, funny, for an idiot, you're exactly what I expect. You lack common decency at every single step, and anything you don't agree with, you simply won't respect. You told me that all gays are evil, and that Colbert is the devil, that Obama is a Muslim, that there's one God, not several, that you came from a rig just like every woman did. They teach this shit to little kids. I find it fucking baffling. Now, I'm not calling you an idiot because you found religion. I just kind of feel sorry for you because it clearly wasn't your decision. Your parents have laid the foundation, years of strategic plantation, that homosexuality is the groundwork of Satan. So, go and cry me some holy water. And then come back and regurgitate the nonsense that your parents taught you. And don't even begin to listen to my opinion. Your truth may be your truth, but it isn't exactly what I'm feeling. Now, if you want to believe in a higher power, the last thing I'm going to do is look down on you. I'm happy that you found whatever it is that helps you to get through the day-to-day strain where life can truly be tough. So whatever keeps you sane is surely enough, right? No, it's not enough for some of these fucking people. You've got to stamp your feet and make the loudest noise, and people know that the point is valid line cover up molestation of young girls and boys and have the audacity to rule over who can get married, and don't even begin with it's God's word, okay? Here's the deal. You go find a picture of God, and I'll go find a picture of Batman. And whichever one of us gets back to this exact point first, wins the argument. And you have the audacity to look at me like I'm a fucking arsehole because I find it more likely that a nightly vigilante fights crime as a bat instead of believing in your 6 days of creation and all that. And I could almost hear a pop as air entered the vacuum that your body mass occupied only a nanosecond earlier, before I took the time to remind you that your religion is a redo of a religion that's a redo of a religion that's a redo of a... I can repeat myself for hours. If that's what you really want me to do, if that's what I need to do to get through, I'll fucking scream it until I turn blue so I stroke on my beard and stare off into the distance and wonder if history would ever stoop to acknowledge your existence. Or would you fade away, memories of you would stay, or on this world would you leave a permanent stain? But I guess what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is please, please don't have children. Cheers. Thank you. I'm going to do one more about mine and my housemate over there, Paul, whose cat, who's a massive prick. So he knows this one. We've got this cat named Kitty, and she doesn't care too much for me, even though I talk to her in Dothraki and do all the things she needs to do to try and keep the cat healthy. I give her eats and I buy her treats. And I don't get mad when she shits all over my sheets. When she tries to kill me by tripping up my feet, I'm still like, oh, you're so sweet. And she looks at me like, who the fuck are you? Don't you fucking look at me, where the fuck's my food? Goes to the fridge, grabs the house, gives it a food to mouth, and fuck you, I'm out. I'm gonna go and hunt this mouse. And she kind of looks like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, with sad eyes that hide in a little ball of fluff. But she'll rip the shit out of your posters if you don't pay her enough attention. Just like POS, she'll be like, fuck your stuff. But I still do love that little kitty, even though she clearly prefers my housemates to me. And although I never invite her to one of our cat parties, at least she ain't a fucking dog. Right, that's me done. Woodward, thank you.
Okay. The phone vibrates. The name is deleted, but the number I know. I stare at the number. It can't be. How dare he? My heart jumps into my throat and it pounds. I had given up waiting for this a long time ago, and so I stare at the number. Do you think we can ever be friends? Do you think we can ever be friends? Do I think we can ever be friends? Maybe. If you'd opened with an apology. If you started with, I'm sorry I told you I loved you and then left 3 days later. I'm sorry for putting you down as a joke and leaving you without one iota of the person you once were. I'm sorry for all the fucked up emotional baggage you carried so that I didn't have to. I'm sorry when the tables turned, I wasn't there for you in return. And I'm sorry that I liked her more than I loved you. Do I think we can ever be friends? Maybe. If you had actually broken up with me, almost 7 years deserves a conversation, not blurting out I like her without hesitation. You said there was nothing to talk about, but I deserved an explanation. 7 years. You took my youth, you took my love, and you broke my heart. And I gave you all of me, but now I want you out of my life. And what's really fucked up is you don't want to be friends, you just pretend. You think I'll say no and send you abuse? But this time I refuse to be what you make of me. You backed me into a corner and forced me to be the person you were both scared to see. No, you don't want to be friends. You just can't be the one to decide. I know you'll say that you tried, that I didn't reply so your hands are tied, and everyone will believe you because I'm just that bitch who shouted and cried. But I don't care anymore what people think they know and think they saw. They don't know what went on behind closed doors, but I do. Don't ever forget that I see you, so lie to them, lie to her, lie to yourself, but not to me. My eyes are open and I am free. Okay, so this next one is about when I went on holiday and I was still thinking about that ex. I'm thinking about him all the time. So I tried to write a poem and nothing really came, and I was like, well, maybe I don't care. So I wrote this. Sitting on the balcony, I thought about him, I thought about her, and I thought about you. I had nothing to say, I had nothing to write. I need this release, but I am already empty. Inside the room was clean with dusty pink walls, sun seeped through the window, shadows passed by the hall, and that chanting seemed to come from all around my head. So I peel the clothes from my sticky skin and step in. The water is cool, but here the air is hot, thick, and I am empty. Nothing to say, nothing to write, empty. The water strokes my skin and soothes this strain. So this next one's about, I was on a train and realised that this guy was just rambling at me, this boy was just rambling at me and being really threatening. And I got really annoyed because he was a boy, like a teenage boy. And he wasn't going to do anything, he just wanted to scare me, and it really annoyed me that as a teenage boy he just knew he had that power over me. So yeah, I got really mad. This is about that. You like it, don't you? You think that I think I'm better than you, so you decide to teach me a lesson or two, teach me to define you. Headphones in but no music, I'm listening, looking at the window, not out. I can see the reflection of you looking at me. I feel your voice at my ear and I feel your intention, fear. Yeah, you like it. But everyone on this train is scared of you, but we both know they're glad. It's not them that you're directing your ramblings to. That's something we have. They think it's so sad that this young boy is mad, but you're still in school uniform. And what you're doing now is just perform, rambling to the left half of my face about your bad relationship with women, gradually quickening the pace until I feel everyone on the train brace. And when we reach the station, they race to the door. but not me. I see through you. And that is how I know you just like it. Thank you. A little bit what everyone on the train braces because this boy's rambling at my face, and then he goes, someone's going to get stabbed. I see everyone on the train being like, oh my god. And I was like, what? Who's going to stab someone in their school uniform on a train? Just a little dickhead. It was so angry. I got my phone out instantly, like, oh, fuck this guy. Okay, this one is super short. I love going swimming because as soon as I'm in the water, everything just melts away and like I feel good and everything is fine, it's cool, I'm alright. So it's super short, but this is about that. I pinch my shoes between my fingers. My bag, hanging heavy in the hook of my arm, pinches me back. Draped across my shoulder, the towel shimmies against my naked skin as I make my way in. It's the silence I seek, alone, when I'm submerged. It's that solitude that separates me from this world. It's my ritual. For when I'm in, I will be clean. Purification through chlorine. Okay, so, sorry, they're really short, I feel like I'm going. But this next one is about, I went travelling for a while and I came back and I really thought I wouldn't be, but I probably was an absolute travel dickhead. But one of my closest friends just talked about boys. She'd seen like 5 guys at the time, and I'd been living in this tiny village in Ghana and I just could not process it for a while. So this is that. I can't tell if everything has changed and nothing is the same, or nothing has changed and everything is the same. I feel estranged, spaced out, so far removed from all this talk about boys. Tell me about life and daily strife, not this guy who's so good looking and he's a model but he's kind of boring, because I haven't got a thing to say to that. See, I've been away for a while and there are bigger issues than this boy or that girl. I don't mean to sound like a dick, but you're making me sick. We talk about the media getting into our minds, so why don't you take some fucking time to watch the news, let that brainwash you, or go the fuck out and find something to do, or at least fucking fuck him. So I have something fun to listen to. This next one's also about when I was away. And you know when you are forced into a situation with loads of new people and you immediately think, oh, I like them and I don't like them, and then over the weeks you're like, well, I got that wrong. So this is about that. This place is not my home, and they are not my family, and you mean nothing to me, and those people, they are the ones I've come to see, and I hate it here sometimes. Well, I am always wrong, and so I look forward to the time when I am gone, but I know I'll miss it before long. See, this place is not my home, and yet they treat me like family, and you now mean so much to me, and those people I'll never see again. Anyway. Okay, this is my last one. All of my poems are fairly personal. This one's quite private. I hope you don't mind. It's the touch of your hands I miss at night, and not just the feel of them holding me tight, but the softly firm strokes up and over my body and up and down the curves of me, down to where I want them to be. And it is your mouth pressed hard against mine, and the tickle of your tongue that will move on in time until I am begging for our bodies to be intertwined. Your hands and your mouth conflating my moans, my lungs inflating faster than I can intone. Each time this pleasure so unbeknown to me, I am thrown from myself, and then it's the ruff of the hair on your chest, press hard against the smooth of my breast as the weight of you ingests me whole. Exploding are my senses, but not my sense of place. You tell me to hush, but there's no silence in this rush. We are the beast with two backs until that moment. Then we lie back and relax. And then you lean over and take my face in those hands, the ones I miss, and give me one last deep and foreboding kiss.
I feel like when you're like getting ready to perform, you get so nervous, but I just think you were so captivated by you, Mattie. That was so good, well done. And this is the first time I've ever been asked to perform more than one piece. So I've chosen 4 pieces that I'm going to share with you. And the first one is, it's kind of like a knotting together of about maybe 5 or 6 poems that I wrote about my first love in the absence of them when I was trying to get over it. So it took me about 3 years to write all of these together. And we were together for 8 months, so that gives you some telling of how hard I felt. It's called I Wish It Didn't Have to Come to This. Will I ever feel more than I did? Or trust so completely? I might try to protect my self-confidence and reveal its lacking more discreetly. Intimacy I cannot compare, acceptance beyond belief. Rejection led to such despair that I shall not repeat. Love doesn't leave without scars. You know that firsthand. They're not mine, they're ours. I was once your biggest fan. I don't know why I'm crying. The tears spill out of my eyes. I'm reading emails and trying not to believe in the beauty of your lies. So seductive and reassuring. I wish the sentiments made sense. I wish I hadn't felt the heartbreak. I wish you hadn't tampered with my innocence. I hate you more than hate can feel, but I'm numb to your stupid ammunition. I don't even care at all for you. Just hurting, because I really used to adore you, even when I bored you. I'm so utterly different today from anything that you thought was me. So unafraid of your displeasure, so happy to finally be free. I'm glad I've grown through your mistakes. Learn next time not to be so bait. It only turns to disappointment and regret, and all those little things that I thought I'd earned dissolve with the subtlety before me, and still I can't forget. Why I let you in so far I can never justify. Even now when I don't know where you are, I still wish we'd said goodbye. Only you can confirm if it was real or in my head. Only we can clearly see the truth of what was said. You did love me. I know that was real. In the haze of drinks. Once upon a time I was a fool to think even for a moment that you were mine. I still love you, but I know now that you used me. I wish knowledge erased feelings, but it just feels more intense. Less tragic, more justifiable. I can't care anymore. You're not worth it, I'm worth more, so I've put a full stop and that's the end, but it just turns into an ellipse again. Because for so long I have loved you. I have felt your presence in thoughts that don't concern you, been aware of you in beds that you have never slept in, and I have smelt your skin when you weren't there. But I'm not near you anymore, reduced to a dehumanised joke, too vulnerable, far too familiarly bred, lost in the maze of questions you surround me with in my own head. But reality has crept upon your pedestal. I hate what you've done to me, what you'll continue to do so effortlessly. I make excuses so I can believe in you again. But no more integrity will be compromised. I want to be stronger than your games. I want to embrace my former weakness and accept the blame. I wrote this in Barbados. I treated myself to Christmas in Barbados, which was amazing. Do it. So good. Do it. Paradise. Do it. But I had a really good time, but it was slightly curtailed by a culture that I witnessed and kind of interacted with to a small degree of beach boys. And it's something that's not just in Barbados, it's in the Caribbean as well. It's like, and in West Africa and South America and Asia as well. It's kind of like local men that hang around on beaches that try to sort of, they make a profession out of manipulating and exploiting mainly like Western white women under this sort of like romantic guise, and I was really shocked by how many like middle-aged white women were actually interacting with this and sort of sustaining the culture. So, and this is called Beach Boys. Actually, you need to remember. Might just hold this just for security. Close encounters of the third world. A female longing, lust tourism. grown women reduced to the behaviour of girls, uncertain exploitation. Sun loungers, meals, cigarettes, day trips and drugs, readily exchanged and sought in the tussle, preyed upon when encountered unattached, the great Beijing beach boy hustle. The level of lifestyle maintained is socially enviable, in a culture where everything has a price, morals absent or expendable. Relying solely on female tourists to make a living, they're so eager to get they don't take stock of what they're giving. These men do not count themselves as prostitutes. They are in control, acting as tour guides, self-serving and destitute, making sure everyone's having a good time. Loneliness alluring, unaccompanied targets on the beach, it is their stage, providing a kind of physical entertainment to make one look up from the holiday book page and seek to attain whilst money gets spent. A jet ski ride can offer physical interest as a certainty by how she breathes on his neck and grabs him tightly. Even subtle covert interest is gauged. With a kind question or a simple request, they make their approach, waters to test, ready to dote. And should interest seem bored or like to wane, then the race card is played. Don't you like talking to black guys, is the refrain. In an effort to disprove this racial slur, ensure themselves as unintimidated, the prey is lured deeper into the trap, aghast but further implicated. Some women are here just for that, for shame. To meet the player and indulge in the game, sex tourists do not see beach boys as pests, their hearts beat in anticipation through their older chests. To find them, feed them, fuck them and forget them. To be there, be fed, be fucked and strike again. In the discourse of romance, mutual exploitation is thinly veiled, transparent once the target has been assailed. Is it wrong? I can't be sure. From the guise of the outsider looking on voyeur, it seems both parties are gratified and served. Beach boy culture has been preserved. I'm going to do one called Euronia, which is a word that I accidentally made up. I have a very smart friend who studied the semantics of it, and he told me that it means open-minded. I thought it meant pure-minded, but okay. And I wrote this just after I got a tattoo. I got a tattoo of an Egyptian hieroglyphic, a jad pillar, on my back, along with some stars. And it's really about spoken words and the power that I found through it. And I just want to give a little shout out to Pat Cash and Spoken Word London, because him and his writing fundamentally saved me and changed me in a hope a positive way. So this is called Euronia. Closure is the best part of grief, forgiveness and loss. It takes time and time and time, but grudges melt like shards of ice, and time is the only cost. The unthinkable can be forgiven. Lines crossed can be drawn under, and there is a great drought in the air like greedy grass after rain or thunder. Lightning blasted, open corneas of light, frightening, outlasted, nourished on insight. Woes, weeping wounds wane, and hope is cast in each refreshing pore. Seeping out expired, despairing disdain, endowed with a thirst, inspired for more. This new, pure Euronia sets me steady in this place. A place of strength within oneself in which all accomplishments are laced. The jad pillar has marked upon me, through me, not just strength above stars and beyond, it has endured poignant pain and piercing transparency, etching into my skin the mark of all the stars that I have grown fond. The 7 mark out 4 women. The 5 denotes but one. The 4 or 5 years in which I loved a man, and the jad pillar of strength is what I won. I feel triumphant to have arisen, and risen and gained a passion like fire. With words I built myself a funeral pyre, but I did not throw myself atop. I threw my words aloud and the fire did not stop. I basked in its glowing rage, I shine its light out upon page. I have wished away all of this. I have wished that my thoughts could be unthunk. I have re-evaluated my very being and loved myself. Although on love's great come down, I was drunk. Each degree was felt so intensely in my intention that I articulated it poetically as a means to flee, to free myself from emotional retention. Spoken words have saved me, where silence alienated and enslaved me. A means of communication in a commutative community, extroverting introverts, expelling demons and doubts. Vulnerable at point of interchange, we face it with no immunity. Insight gifted to me. In spoken words I could not live without. Now, Dean.
This was like 2:30 a.m. and we were both fucking drunk, so.
I wasn't drunk.
That's why I was like, yeah, let's fucking do a phone. WhatsApp. My mind is as fragile as a house of cards trapped in a windstorm, surrounded by versions of myself trying to find my final form.
That form is ever changing. The puzzle has been laid. We need our lives to hold the fruition of all the words we mean to say.
My eyes blinded by mirrors of my own reflective state, wondering if it is me or time that decides my fate. Now time
is a great healer. Get used to that blistering fall. It's been ticking along ceaselessly, and all that giving up that you've been forced to do. The two
constants in life are death and time, and one grows shorter while the other is easier to find.
And everything will end. It will end in death or spite. Embrace that truth, know thyself, and weaken doubt with the conviction of your might. It's true.
That belief lies in oneself, but doubt and negativity eat at your health.
But you are all you really have, and therein lies your weakness and your wealth.
Being told to embrace our greatness while being strangled by hypocrisy. Be the absolute best you can be, but don't try to step out of mediocrity.
Struggle against that flippancy. Embrace that which rules you and work towards some soft democracy. Don't suffer your soul against its will. Be the best that you can muster, enough to fulfill and feel fulfilled.
To suffer for the greater good and fight for a freedom that isn't free. You can kill each other in your hood, but don't try and fight me, for I am your master. Powerful and brave. Metal chains don't hold anyone anymore, yet we are all still slaves.
Enslaved by a new freedom which forces us to be free, with gods that promise they will save once we all take solemn responsibility. Gods and idols hold us captives. School children and football fans call us back into our place upon the map. That map can be reworked, reprogrammed, but paths travelled and roads taken cannot be taken back. So
have conviction in your steps, for they are the ones that lead you to your desired destination. For most, the desired place is fame, but I call it defamation.
Because character? That's the actions instinct rules upon. The past plants founding footsteps that heat upon your feet, fed by the burning of the sun. Step on, step up, step through it, and step away. Let your character be evident in all you do, not just in the intentions of the words you say. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Dan for having me here. I know it's the very end of the night, and I can get a bit tired at that point, so I won't keep you too long. My name's Pat. I run a night called Spoken Word London, and I love these lovely people, and Dan himself have come to, and I started doing spoken words when I used to live in Paris. I lived in Paris about 2 years ago, and I did spoken word at a night named Spoken Word Paris, which is where Spoken Word London came from, the same format. Everyone gets 5 minutes, and everyone gets more than 5 minutes. If you want to come, by the way, our next one is next Wednesday, shameless plug, up at Folk Fabrics in Dalston. But when I lived in Paris, I lived just off the Boulevard Richard Lenoir, which is where the shootings yesterday happened of Charlie Hebdo. And so that got, and I made this New Year's resolution, like I'll get to more light-hearted poetry in 2015. I do some more serious stuff. And then yesterday I was like, okay, actually with that big event, let's see if anything that I wrote in Paris kind of fits that. And so I have this, which I haven't done for like 2 years. So apologies for reading it off the phone, but I think it kind of fits what I want to say, I guess. What scares you? What keeps you awake at night? Is it witches' cackles? Is it monsters in the fading light? Do you feel the fear that vampires are near? Do you watch horror films for fun and scream at the blood? Is there a skeleton in your closet? Do you hear wolves howl at the moon? And when the fireworks blast on November the 5th, do you hear shotguns shooting, bombs over Baghdad loosing? Maybe what scares you is closer to your heart. Maybe you get scared talking to girls or boys. As your tongue trips and ties itself in knots and your stomach falls from the clouds, maybe you're scared you'll end up alone. You've been waiting so long for love, it's eaten what's waiting. You've almost forgot Or maybe what truly scares you is that Morrissey will go on saying fucking idiotic things and continue to sabotage the legacy of the Smiths. Did I ever tell you that I fought in a fight? At the Scala in King's Cross, a boxing match under lights with a roaring rave of voices pummeling in my tunnelled ears, and that scared me. That scared me so much in the week before the fights, I thought absurd things. I thought of running away, but it might sound a cliche, you can never run so far. You run from yourself. I'd never been a big fighter. I stood up for what I believed in. I take a punch for a friend, but I'm not an angry drunk, and I prefer laughing to bleeding. That day he stormed into my bar, this Irish man named Dermot, and said, "You, my son, I'm going to make you fight." I said, "What, me?" He said, "Yes, you. I'm going to take you, going to train you, going to make you, going to break you, going to rebuild you. I'll teach you the uppercut, the secret thrust, the stance, the dance, the art of the punch, the parry, and a damn good left hook." I shrugged and I said, "Okay, I guess." But when I began the training in the winter time, that same time a man named Ian Bainham died. He was pushed to the tarmac in Trafalgar Square and stamped on his head by a gang of 4 and a girl wearing high heels. As I stood by his vigil with the candles alight, I thought to myself, it's scary, but maybe even now I need to know how to fight. What scares me is not pop music. It's not even Nicki Minaj and her array of crazy purple wigs. What scares me is people who try to pretend pop music is all. That the world has nothing but sex and dance and R&B. That sadness does not exist. Darkness is a myth like despair, and none of us shall cry again. I mean, yes to dancing, yes to pop music, yes to Beyonce and her bass, but do not strap yourself in blinkers. What scares me is the Ukraine. What scares me is Uganda, ready to kill its own brethren. What scares me is Exodus International and Dr. Scott Lively and the idiots spreading hate in the genuine belief they're doing right. What scares me is that no one in Soho seems to fucking care. You want this distillation, you want this gem, this sparkling drop, you want the dark whiskey strong, then I'll say if it scares you, fight it. If you believe in something, fight for it. And never pick a fight you do not believe, as a hollow fight is a worthless tear. But fears are drum beats, they vibrate on our ears, insidious, black, nefarious, they creep like wolves in our minds and they will scare you. But what should scare you more is if it scares you so, and you allow the drums to beat on. Thank you. That was done about 2 years ago, and then so I have quite a similar poem that's written along the line that I think kind of goes with that. And the reason why I was late tonight, I was half an hour late, was because I was talking about boxing in that poem. Like, I still do it now. So like, I was at a boxing class and I was late to town and I couldn't come till after 8. So it's a poem about boxing. My knuckles are bleeding. And I'm probably smelling as well, so I apologise as the scent of sweat dried pervades your olfactory senses, invades the poetic ambience. Because I've been boxing, you see. I had to rush here, no time to shower, that's why I'm sweaty, that's why I'm smelly. And my hands, they aren't just rank, they stink. I never miss boxing. Each week I'm in the ring, I've been punching bags, been adopting a stance, this nimble and light-toed dance. You got your duck and dive, your weave and parry and sprinting jive. And I ain't saying I'm the best. I'm not a boxing expert, but I come back each week and I get better. I do boxing for its sport, I do it for its art that isn't quite part of a gym machine and its deadened weight. I do it for all these things, but the real reason I do boxing is because I'm gay. I do it for closed minds. I do it for the hatred in the world I find. I do it for the boy I might have loved, who now has a girlfriend, because it's still easier to be straight than be true. I think of him and all the sadness he once did bring, and it makes my punch the harder. I do it for men in saunas with wedding rings in their fingers. And I do it for crying in the library as I read the Laramie Project, because I am Matthew Shepard. And I was tied to that fence and left for dead, broken and beaten and bleeding. I watched the lights of my town sparkle in the plain below as I lay dying. I'd like to say I do it for honour, but I do it for anger too. I do it for bitterness. And the dark green furies that warp and writhe inside me. And fuck knows boxing doesn't make me brave. I'm not trying to create an army. I prefer to live in harmony, but I got a whole host of enemies, for whom I'm a nemesis. Enemies I don't even remember making. So if I kiss my boy on the street, in the wrong place, at the wrong time, and there's all these ulcerous faces curled with an unnatural hatred, at least I haven't been lifting weights. I've been throwing punches. Thank you. Yeah, this is the last one, so you can all go home or try a drink afterwards. And I worried I'd do this poem too much, but considering what happened yesterday and what's happening in the world right now, and Hannah's heard it like a million times. But yeah, this one is called Hate. Woo! I've been thinking a lot lately about hating. What eats at the heart of hate? Because I hate people every day. I hate tourists on Oxford Street. I hate children on the tube. And I hate slow walkers stopping me getting to my train. I want to grab their faces, say with all that rages, get out of my fucking way. But I don't, because I know my hatred is a ghost. It's a quick flick switch, a brief lit wick. It's a fake shade of hate. Just a frustration of place. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a saint. I dislike a fair few people. But that's not the same as hating. That's not the same as wanting to stamp on their faces. Because hate is always going to hate, they say. And in some places, if you ain't got hatred, you ain't got status. So let's play with the face of hate. Hate me for a moment. Hate everything I am. Hate me because I'm different to you. Hate me for my body, the ends at my fingertips. Hate my skin, my pigmentation. Hate me for the sensations I share with another bed. Hate me for my private moments. Hate the tears I've shed and the hopes I've shared. Hate my thoughts and fears and dreams. Hate the man I might yet be. And then take your hate away and make it something great. Nurture your hatred. Feed it and mold it like clay. Sculpt it like glass being blown until it fits the shape of your soul. And hate will heat you in the cold. Hate will be there when you're alone. And at this point, I would speak of the crimes of hate. Of a woman in a round stoned because she was raped, or screaming ugly at a woman in a magazine. And yes, this poem is about hate crime, but it's also about why. It's about Cameroon, Uganda and Russia. It's about a neighbour hating another. It's about LGBT, it's about immigrants. It's about UKIP and Britain First and a Pronto Francais and the black boys shot on the streets in the USA. It's transgendered camps in Greece and anti-Semitism in Hungary. It's looking at a human race that sometimes seems consumed and wasted by hatred. It's standing up to that and saying, I'm not afraid. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you, Pat. Right, that's it. That's the last speaker. So if everyone wants to fuck off and go home, that's it. Bye. We're hoping to do another one in like 2 or 3 months' time or so. So just come to that as well and go home now. That's it. Thank you.